Hi, friends. Welcome to Getting Your Real Estate Life Together. This is Tracy Hicks with All Things Real Estate. And today we have Rachael, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. I always butcher names, but it's Hagerman, right?
Correct.
Yay!
Yeah.
Welcome, Rachael.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yay.
I am Rachael Marie Hagerman. I'm with Realty One Group Prestige. I specialize in residential, new builds, land, and probate. I've helped quite a bit of people. I've had quite a bit of experience in my short 3 years working with different groups and teams and
In
areas.
So you sound like a realtor.
Yeah.
So you've been in the business for 3 years.
Yes.
And how many changes have you made since the beginning?
A lot.
Really?
A lot. Gosh, yeah. I've been on several different teams.
Okay.
I've gotten my feet wet quite a bit.
Nice.
But I've stuck with real estate.
Yeah.
So I give myself that credit.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I think that you're not alone in that. I think a lot of people do that, especially just getting into real estate because you came from a totally different background, right?
Yes.
What'd you used to do?
I was a medical assistant in hospice care.
Yeah.
And I specialized in geriatric patients.
Wow. So you're kind of like me too. I worked with kids and then went to houses. I was like, it's people. I get to work with people.
Exactly.
And, that human side of it is so much of real estate. So
Very much
it
so.
probably felt really easy to just kind of get into that. It's a good, smooth transition.
Yeah.
Except for all the changes you made, which I definitely want to talk about that because, like I said, I think so many people go through that when they first get into it. They don't know what they want. You probably get advice from everybody. You should be on a team. You should do this. You should do that. It's like being pregnant. Everybody wants to give you their opinion.
Exactly. Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's just start from the beginning then. Once you got your license, who'd you go with? What did you start?
I went with More Realty. I actually got my start with Dave Van Ness with Integrity Homes team.
Nice.
I still work with him to this day on and off. But yeah, he's taught me a lot. He's definitely my mentor. And through him, I've been able to meet a lot of other realtors. He's definitely a connector. And he's definitely a businessman who has a million ideas. So through him, I've been able to explore all sorts of different things and be exposed to stuff I wouldn't even think about. I would hire it out, but he's taught me a lot. So through him, my first transaction was a short sale.
Wow. Just throw you right in.
St. Helens, yeah. Well, prior to my licensing, I got to work with him a little bit on multiple different transactions. And prior to that, I was dancing with Keller Williams a little bit, and I did some transaction coordinating. So I wasn't licensed yet either. And I worked with a agent who specifically did commercial.
Nice.
And
you were learning all of it.
In
the very beginning.
It was a lot to absorb as a new agent, especially when everybody's trying to disc you and find your personality type so they can figure out where you fit. Are you a listing agent? Are you a buyer's agent? Are you a transaction coordinator? And a lot of it wasn't absorbing because I came from the medical field. You do what needs to be done.
Right. It's pretty black and white.
Very much this is your patient. This is what you do. You take care of them. And real estate, there's just so much to do.
There's a lot, and there's a lot of gray area. I mean, I always say it's about interpretation, and everybody interprets something very differently. And so, again, kind of going back to all that advice that you were probably getting in the beginning, and also finding your way and where you fit in and where you love real estate the most, I guess, is obviously really, really important. It's kind of interesting that you did all of the things in the beginning, and then you could really kind of sift a lot of stuff out and see what you liked and what you didn't like, because that's really important too.
Well, at the beginning, I didn't like showing houses, although I liked going to houses. Right. But when you're new and you don't know a lot, it's kind of nerve-wracking. But now I can show a house whatever.
It doesn't take you long to get your feet wet with that.
No, especially if you just focus on it. And that's why when I talk to new realtors, they're like, how have you been doing it? And I'm like, you got to dive in. Yeah. There's really no half and half. I mean, you can try and have a part-time job. I've tried that at the beginning. Yeah. And I'm learning that what you put into real estate, you will see.
Totally.
It comes to fruition.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm learning too that it's all about relationship as well. Cause like I explained, I started off with Dave with Integrity Homes team.
Yeah.
He's also now starting like We Know Portland stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started She Knows PDX and
Love it.
and I also started properties and whatever.
Yeah. You tried stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's about, right?
Absolutely. Get in there, have fun, explore. I've been on several different teams since then.
Yeah.
So feel my niches. I've done new construction. I've been on an all girls team. I've been on a team where they only wanted experienced realtors, but as the newbie tagging along, I get the first transaction.
Right. Right.
Yeah. You definitely have to love what you do when you're in real estate. If you don't love it, it's not going to be fun and you're not going to profit.
Right. It's totally true. And I love that you mentioned profit because obviously that's really important. I think a lot of times people focus so much on, we talk about it all the time, like you're a mini corporation, you're a business too. And so you're not doing this for the fun of it. Yes, you are, but you're not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to make a living. Mm-hmm. And it's really easy to kind of forget that and get reminded in the wrong ways sometimes. I know sometimes, it's like check to check. It's like transaction to transaction. Mm-hmm. And let's be real, we've all, as realtors, felt that and was like, oh, that deal died and I really needed that check, Mm-hmm. And so I think going back to the human side of things, but also realizing that we're humans too. Mm-hmm. Let me go back a little bit. Was that something when you first started, since you're still 3 years it probably seems like it's been 10 million years, but it's a short period of time. Was that something that you thought about in the very beginning, the business side of things, or did you kind of learn that as you went?
Well, I've always had issues with working at jobs and being limited to a certain amount that I can make.
Yes.
So that's where real estate did attract me because there's no limit.
Yeah.
You are your own limit.
You were an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Whether you wanted to be or not.
Because prior to the medical field and being, finding that steady job and everything, I was a freelance hairstylist for over 7 years. So I knew how to, I was my own business wherever I was at. I had the freelance license. I had the full shebang.
Nice.
So I got to do Fashion Week a couple of times.
Cool.
So I've always worked with people.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to the point where I wanted to get into real estate, it was simply because in hospice care,
my doorbell, stop.
I've seen patients kind of be taken advantage of, unfortunately. And it made me mad.
Yeah.
Because their family is already going through a really hard time. And so I wanted to be a part of that, but I also in the medical field was working my buns off. I wasn't seeing my kids. And before I knew it, I was already 4 years in and hadn't seen them during any holiday. I mean, everything would have to. In my first year in real estate, I got to experience Christmas and Halloween and all that stuff. So my kids were actually my big
motivator. Yeah.
Yeah. My big one thing that I wanted to focus on before they grew up, and
that's awesome.
And didn't see it. So since then, that was my drive. And
yeah. And now you're like, okay, now, you're realtoring probably 24/7, but
it's a lifestyle.
It is. It's a lifestyle and you get to create your own schedule. And yeah, you might get a phone call at 7:00 at night and, your clients are like, this is the one, we have to go see it right now, but you still get to maintain your own schedule. I think I see both sides of it all the time. Like you summed it up perfectly. It's a lifestyle. It just is what it is. And you
just got to compromise with your clients and they have kids. I've got kids.
Yep.
You've got little ones. I've got a 12-year-old.
Right.
She can watch them,
yeah, it does get easier when they get a little older. That's for sure.
Exactly. And there's some clients that aren't okay with kids and that's okay too. 'Cause I make it work, we make it work. And, and that's why I like it. There's just so much opportunity everywhere.
Totally.
So I plan on staying in real estate for a while.
Oh, there's no getting out at this point.
No, I made I made it past the 2-year mark.
Right.
And now I'm going past 3. I think I'm good.
Yeah. And people do, don't get me wrong. People get out of this business all the time, but listening to you talk in your reason and in your why and just what you've made of it so far, I can definitely tell you're a lifer. You might do something else later on down the road, but I think that people always say your real estate license is your best license to have because you can leave it, park it, come back to it. And you did talk a little bit about being a part-time realtor, and really that doesn't work. If you really want real estate to be your career, you can't have a second job. That second job needs to be going into your real estate time. And so I like that you made that point, because it is really important that you put your whole heart and your whole mind, body, spirit, all that good stuff into your real estate business. Sometimes it takes a little while to pay off, but it does pay off.
Yeah, well, walking into real estate, I was able to be exposed to a lot of people that have made awesome businesses out of it. They've been able to live lives. You know, I look at people, I'm like, okay, I want that. I want that. I want that. I want to be able to do that. I don't want to have to blink if a church's roof fell in during a storm or something. I want to be able to write that check out. I want to be wealthy and be able to pay it forward.
I love that.
Leave a legacy for my kids. My grandfather was able to leave a legacy for us to kind of carry on and keep that going, because real estate's been in my blood for a while.
Nice. There was no getting around it for you.
No, I think eventually.
It was going to happen eventually.
Yeah, whether it's investment or being a realtor or being a flipper, or both of my grandmothers were landlords. My grandfather was an investor. He liked investing in land, and he liked investing in properties and renting them out, you know. Yeah. And he had property on the other side of the planet. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And that stuff, even though you probably didn't pay much attention to it then, like you can look back and be like, oh, I understand all that stuff now.
It feels natural, and I understand it. It reminds me of being in their office at their home.
Right.
And understanding why we're going to a house. And I don't know, it's just little childhood memories.
For sure.
Kicked in, and it's like, oh, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Hindsight.
Always. And there's a lot of that in real estate.
Oh gosh. Yes.
Right. So you talked about the legacy and also being able to write a check and do things in the community that you wouldn't be able to do if you weren't going back to profiting. Is that something you thought about in the beginning of your business? Or
absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. It took me a really long time. Like, I didn't know I had a money story until last year, trying to get this business to profit and me feeling a certain type of way about money. I only needed enough to get by, you know, that mentality. And I didn't want my customers who are realtors to feel like I was making money off of them. And I had to change. And I had never run a retail business before, e-commerce. I was a realtor for 16 years. So I sold houses to people. You know, it was one at a time. And this is such a different world that it took me a really long time to get to that point. And I'm there now, but I never even thought about it. It never crossed my mind, literally.
To shift your mentality
that I even needed to shift it, or that there was more to it. Obviously that came into play in building your business. Was there anything like off the top of your head that you can think of that you made sure that you were doing in your business, or any advice that you can give to anybody listening that can help with that now? Like, even just thinking about it, but
follow your heart. And that's why I jumped around a lot, because I needed to figure out and feel. I'm a feeler. I'm going to
feel it out.
I'm empathetic. You know, I sense other people. And probably why I work really well with strangers, because I can kind of sense them. But I'm not psychic though. Not quite. But I have this idea, and it took a lot of coaching for me to kind of figure out my idea. But I knew that I wanted to get to a point. I didn't see money as a normal, or even profit as a normal thing. I see it as a way to progress ourselves, not just individually, but each other. I kind of see like a whole world thing. Like, I want to be able to help as much as I can while I'm here on earth, no matter what you believe in.
Yeah.
So my success isn't just for me. It's also for, you know, my fellow brothers and sisters. So,
right.
That's what I want to leave being, I don't know, productive, be able to help others where I can. When I went into real estate, there were so many little things that triggered me to just jump feet first, literally, into real estate. The medical assisting was a part-time job. And at this point, I had gotten out of hospice and into chiropractic work. I was a CA, so I was a certified chiropractic assistant. And then I was dabbling with the idea of working with a team, and that's how I met Dave, and James Hahn, who's also in commercials. So I've dabbled in all sorts, but the whole point is I got fed up.
Yeah.
I got fed up of being told what I can make, what I cannot make. And each time I've jumped from team to team or business partner, what have you, I've even tried working at Tycor Title, like I've tried all sorts of stuff just so I can make sure that either I'm learning the skills that I need or I'm progressing towards my goal. And you got to follow your heart. You have to want to do it. You have to find your joy. So.
Right. Also, too, that we tend to not do that enough or question ourselves. Like you're making the wrong decision because you're following your heart. And I love that it's the other way around for you. And I think people
got to break the rules.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And you also have to the norm. And I think everybody has their own stereotype in their head as to what they should be doing as a realtor. And I think that I'm talking other realtors, not like the general public, because nobody really knows what a realtor does.
Nobody knows.
Right. That's one big reason why we started this company, is so that realtors started educating the public, and obviously marketing. And that's all changed even in the last 5 years, especially in real estate, because back in the day, you stuck with the company's brand. You didn't go off brand. It was the company. It was the company. It was the company. It wasn't about you. And eventually I always knew that it would come to where we are now, because most people don't even know what company you work for. They want you.
Exactly.
They want you as their realtor, not the company. It's very rare. Now, way, way, way back in the day when there was, people called into an office, they probably wanted to work with somebody in that office, but it was more about the office than it was the person.
Right.
Which was backwards, which is why it's where it is now. People want to work with the agent they want to work with.
Exactly.
What are you focusing on right now? Like, what's your big marketing gig thing, social media, whatever it is? What are you doing right now?
I just reach out to people. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, that.
I mean, I know a lot of agents that have systems and that have, lead marketing tools or software that gets that person in. And I talk to people. I'm more of a face-to-face person. I've gotten on Zillow and checked out the FSBOs and connected that way, but been successful with it.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just all connection. And if somebody wants to send me a referral, great. If somebody wants to partner up, great. I've done all of that. I mean, business is business, but so far that's how I've been doing it. So I've gotten leads through Facebook, just word of mouth. That's how I've been doing it. I haven't really ramped up yet during this whole pandemic.
Right.
So
I know.
I got to be careful.
Right.
That, I haven't really ramped up myself yet.
Okay. So are you on your own right now, or are you on a team?
I'm on my own, but I still work with fellow agents that I know.
Okay. Yeah. How long have you been not with a team?
December, January-ish. So I kind of walked into this whole thing.
Right.
Being solo.
Yeah.
Just kind of doing my own thing. And I'm realizing right now I kind of need to do my own thing. I'm kind of discovering myself.
I love that.
In a weird way, because I know how to do the job.
Yeah.
I know how to do the job. I know how to list the properties. I know how to do the paperwork. I know who to go to if I have questions.
Yeah.
But now it's just a matter of learning how to skin my knees in a weird way.
Yeah.
Turn and burn, as they would say in rodeo. It's time to turn and burn. You got to ride that horse tight around the barrel. There we go.
Right.
So when you told me to straddle this, I was just...
Right, exactly. The rodeo.
I was like, oh, the cowgirl's coming out.
That's awesome. Well, and that's so true, though, because most things are experience-based. And, I have older kids. They're 21 and 26. And I'm like, as you go through life, experience is everything, because you don't know how you're going to feel about certain things. You don't know how you're going to react to certain things. You don't know how you're going to handle certain things. until you've been through it. And so real estate is exactly that. Like every single transaction, whether you've been in it for a year, 3 years, 30 years, you're still learning things every transaction.
Yes. None of my transactions have ever been identical because you're dealing with people's lives. You're dealing with their next chapters. You're helping first-time home buyers be excited for their first home. And
their experience is what you're going to experience with them.
Yes. And they're looking at you for advice. And
yeah.
If you don't have it, do not make anything up. That's my number one.
Give it.
Lesson learned.
Yes.
Don't try to act smart. Don't try to sound smart. If you don't know, just say, you know what? That's a great question. Let me find out.
Yep. Exactly.
Just simple. Take the liability off of you. But none of my transactions have ever been identical. The paperwork's similar.
Sure.
Addendums are addendums. Offers are offers. None of the transactions have been identical.
No.
Ever.
That's what makes you a better realtor, is because you get to take all those experiences into the next transaction. Like, that stuff's going to come up again, and then you're going to just another tool in your toolkit.
Absolutely.
And then also really tough transactions, even though it sucks being in them, the next time a tough transaction comes up,
you know what
that's
to do.
A part of that skin in your knees.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Because then you're like, oh, I'm not so nervous to help people through that, or I'm not so worried, because you're right. You're dealing with a big purchase for these people, and they're counting on you and looking to you. Yep. And, I've had transactions where I've lost that I'm like, I could have done a better job. And I think as long as you have that mentality that things can always be better, whether they were good or bad or whatever. But if you carry that into your career and your next transaction and all of that stuff, it just makes you a better realtor.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that, because I'm at a point where I can be like, oh, one of my previous clients went through something similar. This is what we're going to want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk for days about examples, but no, it's yeah. It's hard to explain.
It is. But also too, I think, again, we're all humans. So that brings me to the next part that we like to talk to people about, is like community. And who is your realtor community? Like, who do you go to for talking, advice, or whatever?
Yeah.
Who's your community in real?
I have a lot of masterminds I check out on Facebook, but man, I have a whole variety of people I go to discuss things, whether it's, a title rep or whether it's lawyer, like, you'd be surprised at some of the stuff, because there's some things as realtors we shouldn't discuss, with clients or even with each other. So sometimes it's good to talk to a lawyer about certain situations. So, you learn. Yeah, I'm constantly reading, and like a lot of masterminds that are on Facebook. It's good to be a part of those. I'm with Ladies of Real Estate. I'm on your page. I can't think of them right off the top of my head because there's so many of them. But
do you ever get bombarded with all that stuff? I mean, because it can get a little overwhelming, like all those Facebook
I got to shut
groups
down once in a blue moon.
Yeah,
I got to turn myself off and just be like, I'm a mom today.
Yeah.
But it's fun to listen, especially newer agents, to read, their complaints, their vents.
Yeah,
because this is a very emotionally tolling job and role that we play in society as realtors.
Totally.
We are very powerful people if we want to harness that, because we're working with the market, we're working with homes, we're working with families, should be researching our neighborhoods and knowing what the changes are happening. And so it's fun to read and offer advice, or keep reading it to get advice, like who would do what, and seeing the different answers and responses. And sometimes they're crude and sometimes they're funny. And, you got to have a good sense of humor in real estate for sure.
Yeah.
As times get tough. But I started real estate with a huge group when I did Ignite with Keller Williams, just to get, learn how to do cold calling and all that stuff. I definitely developed friendships over time. And I've learned that your relationship with fellow realtors are just as important as the clients that you're going to be meeting. And
true.
More and more, my clients are becoming friends more than anything after the fact.
Right.
Or I'm an advisor to them.
Yep.
And I don't see myself that serious, but
what I also like what you said about the Facebook groups is that usually those are people from all over the United States. So it's really kind of cool to hear different perspectives.
absolutely.
May not be the same, obviously the same laws and whatnot, state to state, but it's really nice to hear how people handle things differently. And those are also additional tools in your toolkit. Like,
Yep.
I remember so-and-so was talking about this same exact situation. And now I have like one more thing that I just didn't think of before. Cause let's be real, we can't think of everything all the time. Like that's literally impossible. So is there stuff that you want to be doing in your marketing, or is there some stuff in the horizon that you have thought about doing? And like, what's the next thing that you really want to do in your marketing?
Get online more. I started to do that, but there's some things I got to take care of in my personal life.
It happens.
Yeah. So with that being said, now knowing that we kind of have a clear to open everywhere.
Yeah.
If you will, versus a clear to close.
Yeah.
With our community as a whole at the beginning of July, that's kind of my goal.
Nice.
Is to kind of get some more certifications under my belt and start online marketing, start branding, start really opening up in the next couple weeks of, reaching out to professionals such as yourself, to start developing things.
Yeah. I don't know when anybody's going to be listening to this. It could be 2 years from now, but being in the middle of, I don't even know if we're in the beginning, middle, or end of it, but it's, what day is it? It's May 20th, 2020. So during like this whole COVID situation, what have you been doing in the last couple months in terms of your business? What have you taken the time to do? Whatever it is.
Reach out to people. Again, communication's a number one thing to me.
Yeah.
And connection, just checking in on everyone. Like, hey, how's it going? Because so many things have changed for so many people.
Right.
People that could once buy kind of need to go on hiatus for a minute and recoup because they're unemployed.
Yeah.
I've done a few closings myself, so I haven't really been slowed down, but but it was definitely different doing transactions. It wasn't like before where everybody could hang out during an inspection.
Right.
It's like, all right, you guys stay home. I'll be there. I got to let the inspector in. And it's been a variety of stuff in the past few months, but I basically just reaching out and reconnecting. And I've been able to salvage a lot with that because I can ease their concerns about stuff. I've also utilized if you're a realtor and you got really good relationships with lenders, during that time, rates were changing. And it was really important if you have potential buyers that are on the brink of being pre-approved or have been pre-approved, but haven't locked in yet, let's reevaluate and reformulate like what they're pre-approved for, because a couple of my buyers were able to get more house and lock it in because rates went down at one point. So
and we all know everything in real estate changes, could change right now.
Yep. So
especially with what we're dealing with right now, you just don't know. But I was happy to hear that you closed 4 transactions in the last, has it been the last month or last
couple months?
Yeah. And I am hearing a lot of agents still working and our state is obviously a little bit different than others. We're not on the East Coast where things are completely different for them. And so navigating through this, but what we've always said is that realtors were built for this kind of stuff. You guys are dealing with this on a transaction to transaction basis. Anything could come up. That's what makes realtors good realtors, is that they can navigate that. And what I love hearing you just say about that is that you were doing being
proactive.
Yes, that word. I love that approach. And I think a lot of people are doing that and maybe didn't used to do that in their business.
Right.
You're always trying to find a silver lining and stuff and figure out what can I take away from this, situation. And so that's a big one.
Yeah. Being proactive and knowing who you have in your corner, if you will.
Yep.
And knowing what the protocols would be for everything. And at the beginning of this whole pandemic, we didn't know exactly how to handle
Navigate,
it.
yeah.
And now it's just a matter of being hygienic and keeping your distance.
Yeah.
And it's a lot has changed in the last couple of months, but
Yeah.
it's more than anything. I reached out just to check in on everyone, people, the whole toilet paper situation. Like, I
Which
mean,
is still a situation, by the way.
right. But not as hardcore. I
Man.
mean, but it's still pretty bad.
It is.
I've gone into stores recently. I'm like, really, people? But
Yeah, no.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Don't kill me.
There's still no paper towels or toilet paper at Fred Meyer's. So
Oh God. Yeah.
luckily I'm still good, but I did need paper towels. But then you're like, paper towels, like I can't really get mad that I don't have paper towels. Like,
Right. It's
I
like,
have
use
towels.
a towel.
Exactly. That's that same mindset in your business as well. Like in situations, you take what you can and make that work. And so I wanted to quickly, before we leave, we talked a little bit about your marketing or whatever, but where do you see yourself kind of going in your business? What are you projecting for yourself? What's next for you? Or what do you plan on doing in your business in the next year to 3 years or even 5 years out?
I plan on dominating.
Yes, girl.
That's a tough question, honestly, because things do change.
Yeah.
But I do plan on growing. I plan on investing more, but in baby steps. I mean, things are so iffy right now because of the whole COVID thing. So I could go full blast and market myself, but inventory is very low.
Right.
So with that marketing, I'm checking out FSBOs and expireds.
Nice.
And seeing if I can start getting more inventory in the market, along with, I'm sure other agents are doing the same thing too, like wanting to get
That
inventory.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Girl, please. Do you?
But yeah, my idea is to grow and to just blossom. My kids are going to, 5 years from now, they're going to be graduating high school. So
Yep.
I'm hoping in the next few years, I can have them working with me part-time and maybe get their credits going in high school for that. Whether or
Nice.
not they want to stay in real estate, at least I can provide, first-time job. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I want to grow and I want to help others grow too. It's not just about, I'm very abundance thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, okay, if I can do this, then let's partner up. Or
Is that something you've always had or felt or done?
yes and no.
Because I literally never really thought about any of that stuff prior to last year. I don't remember how it was kind of brought to my attention. Well, yeah, it was, I needed to start profiting. Like this company's been around for 4 years and we're like, yay, we've sold $1 million in product. Oh, we spent $1 million on, you know, running a business. And so it was like, okay, we need to start profiting. And so I was told, yeah, you need to work on yourself and how you feel about money because you're bringing in exactly what you're expecting yourself to bring in. So you got to change that mindset.
Yeah. My original goal was, the typical, oh, what do you want to make? $100,000 every year.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's taxes.
Right.
And there's expenses. And so I went from, oh, well, maybe a few $100,000.
Yeah.
A few 100,000. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like, well, your expenses grow.
Yes.
So I want to start utilizing everything that I've learned. And then a year from now, be pushing 1 million.
Nice.
But I'm literally like not even at 100,000 yet.
Yeah. But even just thinking about it, that's what's going to get you there.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be top of mind. It's going to be
Breaking that comfort zone.
subconscious. Yeah. All of that stuff when you make decisions. Is it in alignment with where I want my business to go and all of that? I'm speaking like I thought like this all the time, but I just operated as I went and I'm, learning this business and same with being a new realtor, you're learning and navigating and figuring out what works best for you and how that's going to look. So I'm excited for you. I'm
excited too. I'm excited to, for my colleagues. A lot of people have a million different ideas of what everybody wants to do. And, in a way where everybody's competitor, but in a way we can all utilize each other too.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in leverage and I
love it.
I've got things I'm going to be doing. So
good. Well, we're going to have to follow up with you and see where you're at. Okay. So where can people find you?
You can find me on my Facebook page, She Knows PDX. I'm also at www.sheknowspdx.com. You can Google me. I've discovered that. My son's like, "You're famous, Mom, look." And I'm like, that's every realtor, honestly.
Right.
Just got to utilize it correctly.
Yes. People don't think about that a lot.
But I'm with Realty One Group Prestige. We just moved from Northwest Portland to Beaverton.
Okay.
So there's a new office. You can also shoot me a message on Facebook if you want.
Well, if they go to your website, your contact information is there as well. Good. Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I am. I used to be like Realtor Rachel, but now She Knows PDX. So.
Good.
I'm trying
Consistency, streamline. Yes, girl. Because people, Instagram's the worst, because when you search for people or whatever, you get their Instagram handle, but make sure your name's in there too, people. I always tell people, I'm like,
I got to work on that.
You go look at your profiles today and make sure that your name is everywhere.
Consistency,
Yes, exactly. But you're consistent. You're using She Knows PDX. I love that. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I know it's a little strange. This is our first podcast back in the office. I appreciate you being here, and good luck to you. I know, right? He's hard not to love. Everybody knows him. So even when he's in the podcast, they're like, "There's Cuddy." So don't feel so bad. Like, oh, that's so unprofessional. I have the dog barking in the background. But doesn't everybody right now? That's another thing we've learned during this. It's like kids running around. I called a vendor the other day, like one of our big apparel vendors, and she was at home and her little 2-year-old just started screaming. Yeah. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I was like, "Girl,
everybody's home right now.
It's life right now." Yeah. So
poor kids, everybody's home and
over it.
Over it.
Thank you for being here. I'm really excited to have you.
It's fun.
It was fun.
It's a good combo.
Yep. And this is your first podcast. Hopefully you'll take people sometimes get inspired and want to do a podcast.
Yeah.
So, or webinar, whatever, something.
Yeah.
And then we're also on Facebook Live. You can always do that too. All right, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you.